You've probably heard the saying, measure twice, cut once. It's a carpenter's rule that helps make sure that the right cuts of wood are made, thus preventing wasted time and material. You can look at Protake's Visual Analytics or any other app's analytics the same way. Zebras, false color, and focus peaking help you get accurate focus and exposure before you start filming, so you don't waste time or potentially realize later in editing that you have clipping or your focus was way off. If you're like most of us, when we first downloaded our first mobile camera app to free us from all the limitations of our camera's native apps, you may have been a little overwhelmed with all the manual functions available. A new world of possibilities became apparent. My first app was FiLMiC Pro, and when I first scrolled over FiLMiC Pro's live analytics options, I thought to myself, oh, that's nice, looks potentially useful. I spent 30 seconds playing with it and then said to myself, I'll figure it out a little later.
Yep.
That was then, but now I have a new appreciation for these analytics in FiLMiC Pro, Protake, and other apps I use from time to time. But later doesn't always have to come for everyone. Perhaps later is actually now. So what do each of these analytic options have to offer, and how are they different from one another? The first step is to locate them, and it's rather easy. Just click the stripe box at the bottom of your screen between the grid lines and the Pro button. To see this, you'll need to be in Pro mode, also known as manual mode. You can choose each mode here. Zebras and false color monitor exposure, while focus peaking monitors, you guessed it, your focus. However, only one will function at a time. And on the right, you have an auto option which you can toggle on and off. If you toggle on, then this only affects the zebra and focus peaking functions, not your false color. We're going to take a look at zebras and focus peaking first before moving on to false color, because there's a little more to it than the others. In zebra mode, you will notice red striped areas and blue striped areas depending on your exposure levels. The red stripes indicate parts of the image that are overexposed. These are also called clipped highlights. The blue stripes indicate areas that are underexposed, which are also called clipped shadows. The wheel on the left is used to manually adjust exposure. Many people like to adhere to the 180-degree rule of shutter speed, but that all depends on the amount of blur you want in the video and the look you're going for. For this demonstration, I'll stick to the rule. Since I'm filming at 30 frames per second, I'll lock my shutter speed at 1/60. So to adjust exposure, we'll manually change ISO settings. To do that, simply click the ISO marker here. Adjusting exposure is usually a balancing act, but it's typically better to minimize overexposed areas as much as possible, as they tend to look awkward and unnatural to the eye. When in focus peaking mode, you'll see objects acquire a neon green outline. Anything outlined in green indicates that the object is in perfect focus. You can see this change as you alter focus from objects closer and farther from the camera's lens. This comes in handy because our smartphone screens are fairly small, making it more difficult to pinpoint focus with the naked eye. This also helps when performing a focus pull. This is when you change focus from one object to another in video. Focus peaking helps you do this with precision. This tends to be more effective with your telescopic lens. To pull focus in the Protake app, select the focus marker on the right side wheel. You can do an automatic focus pull by focusing on the object you want to focus on last and select the B tag. Then set focus on your first object. Once ready, simply tap the A to B tag. There you go. However, the speed of automatic focus pull is fixed. If you want greater control at a different speed, you can skip automatic focus altogether and adjust the focus wheel yourself in focus peaking mode. False color takes things to a new level though, as far as exposure goes. When you select false color mode, you see a multicolor overlay on your screen. It may seem a little intimidating at first, but you'll feel much more comfortable about this mode soon enough. To start out, we should take a look at the color bar on the left. This bar helps you see what colors are overexposed, underexposed, and what's just right. Also, it's interesting to note that this feature is not included on the FiLMiC Pro app. There are 9 colors on this bar, and we usually want to stay within the middle 5 colors. The top red symbolizes totally clipped highlights, and the bottom purple symbolizes totally clipped shadows. Essentially, in these areas, there's complete data loss. The upper yellow indicates overexposure, but some data is retained, just as the blue at the bottom does regarding shadows. Of course, the level of lighting and exposure affects the mood that you're going for. You'll get more highlights in the gray and pink areas and more shadows as you move toward the green and darker grays. One of the most common exposure challenges is setting for skin tone. False color helps you get it just right and just right for different shades of skin. As a guide, exposure works best when in the 50 to 70 range on the false color bar, also known as the IRE scale. The scale is from 0 to 100, 0 at the bottom, 100 at the top. The 50 to 70 range fits within the pink and light gray areas here. Typically, lighter skin is better matched in the gray area and darker skin is exposed better in the pink area. However, this is more of a scientific approach. It's really up to you to decide what works best for the mood you're trying to set. Hopefully, you now have a new tool in your filming tool belt. Protake's Visual Analytics can make a difference in the quality of video you shoot and save you the time it would take for potential retakes. So for more help with Protake and video in general, check out this video here. Also, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Take care.